Okay. Hey, peace and love, soul family. I'm feeling a little bit better, feeling good today, so I'm trying to get a lot of my recordings done since my eyes ain't that puffy. So I wanted to go ahead and get this out because it's time for the Teachers of Light to step forward. You know, we've already been presented with the GPMS, the Global People's Monetary System, and I made a video prior to this one where I was showing you how the leaders over on that side were speaking on, doing some energy work as it pertains to money and our mindsets surrounded by money, that we've been indoctrinated, and we have a very love-hate relationship with money, and it was designed that way because money has been used as a control mechanism. It's been used to hold us in bondage. It was one of the main things when I started this work. It was one of the main things that the divine told me I would have to address, because it's one of the main ways that the captives have been uh, kept in bondage, is through a debt system. So I knew, I had already been told that there was a type of financial reset that was coming, that was going to help set the people free from the banking beast, the banking system, excuse me, the financial system, and things of that nature. So I knew that there was something coming. I didn't know exactly what it was. I had been presented maybe 4 years ago with the divine plan, with the way they said the overall divine plan would work, and I knew that eventually a currency, a monetary system would be done away with, and it would eventually turn into more of a heart-centered barter system. Okay, so they have to use, though, because of the fact that we can't just jump into that bartering system. It has to be a gradual process where over time people learn to, number one, appreciate heart-centered works, and number two, put the right value on the right things. Because there's a saying out there that says, we value things and we use people, when we should use things and value people. So that has to, there's a learning curve that has to take place, and that's where we are now. So with the global monetary people system, or global people's monetary system coming into play, there will also be other things that come into play. But like I mentioned before, everything is in divine right order. Everything is in divine timing. Nothing is lagging. Nothing is off course. Everything is right as it should be. The light, the teachers of light, the vanguards, the way showers, the ones who are aware of what's going on and sitting back watching, we are the ones who are being given the information well in advance of the masses, the ones who will slowly awaken. And it's going to be a gradual process, but just know that you're being given time so that you can set everything up in place, so that when they do have this great awakening, or they do have this grand epiphany, that we aren't scrambling, first of all, trying to make sure that we're okay. Sorry about that, my microphone. We aren't scrambling trying to make sure we're okay. We are in the right mindset. Like, I've even had people who, when things started changing, and even with the election, when the election didn't go as planned, I had people, I could feel their energy. It's like they panicked, or they just gave up on it, and it was like, oh well, here we go. And I'm like, see, that's the type of stuff that has to be sifted out. You have to have a mentality about yourself where no matter what you see happening in the physical, you know what the divine plan is. You know that it is imminent. You know that nothing can stop what's happening, regardless of what you see this beast system trying to do. I mean, they're on their last legs, so they're kicking and scratching and doing whatever they can in order to stay relevant. But at the end of the day, the light does win, and you just have to trust that, and ignore all the other stuff that you see going on around you. So anyway, with that being said, I wanted to get to this point about the Rising Heart Technique, which is for the teachers of light, the ones who are, like I said, I'm not here for the masses. That's not what my soul mission is for. I'm not here to help enlighten the masses and try to convince the masses that they need to awaken. At one point in time, I thought that, but that was before I went through certain initiations and was told what my new focus would be. My focus now is on the teachers, the ones who will be interacting directly with the masses. So one of those things is the Rising Heart, and I speak on the Wingmakers and how the Wingmakers and the Urantia and the Voyager series, they all kind of have this common thread that goes through all of them, and that's the truth. That's the divine truth. Excuse me, of what we are here for. There are some of us who are here to help humanity, because when we help humanity, we help the planet. And the planet is actually going through an ascension process, and the beings who choose to ascend with her have to also go through a transformation. It's just inevitable. We all have to do it. So a lot of times, the point in the vanguards and the way show us waking up first was so that you can first go through, you can make your way through, and then you can turn back and you can help others also ascend as well. So I'm going to actually have this um, screen read. I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm going to sit back. I'll probably be eating a little bit of my dinner while you guys listen to this, but please take in everything. This is very important. I've had this information for years, and it's only become relevant right now, where we are right now. It's only become relevant. So I've been given the go-ahead to present it to you all. Okay, so this is the Rising Heart from the Wingmakers, and it's specifically for the teachers of light. So like I said, I know it'll only be a handful of you guys that it will resonate with, but just listen. Even if you don't recognize it, just listen, because later on it may mean something to you. Okay, all right.
Forward. This paper is an excerpt from the original work known as Liminal Cosmogony, a body of teachings employed by the Lyricist teaching order. These teachings are the carefully chosen words and energetic transfers of Lyricist teachers, who have expressed them from an ancient, yet distinctly relevant voice. They are colored in our language and culture not because they are texts composed for our specific species or planet, but because all planets and their inhabitants evolve in a similar ascendant path, passing through transformative shifts to higher light and intelligence. Earth is passing through one of these corridors of higher dimensional light energy right now, and many of you are aware of this. This is part of your awakening and activation, to know that the Earth is on an ascendant path, that this path includes you in a purposeful relationship, and that these new energies will restructure and realign the culture of humanity in profound and positive ways. One of these ways is a new intensity and focus of collective intelligence and empowerment. It is a goal of Lyricus to provide frameworks in which students of its works can empower themselves to be agents of spiritual awakening, aligned to the Earth's ascendancy, and assist Earth and the beings upon her in this dimensional transition. This particular excerpt is focused on a technique called the Rising Heart. It is being released at this time because the energies of the Central Sun and the teachers of light are clearing a path to enable a stronger telepathic connection with those who desire this new empowerment. Those of you who have asked the Universal Creator or higher intelligence to activate your highest purpose, this paper, perhaps, is one of its responses. True to the standards of Lyricus, liminal cosmogony is not concerned with the cosmological ordering of the multiverse or the physics of time and space as they unravel into the void. The teachers of Lyricus are more concerned with the delicate human connection between the soul and the human instrument, and how this integration can be activated, and its activation sustained amid third and fourth dimensional emotional turmoil, misinformation, mental static, and spurious electromagnetic fields, to name a few. The cosmological landscape becomes clear when the species transcends the duality of the third and fourth dimensions and possesses direct perception of the divine plan of expansion and ascendancy. There is no text required for this higher dimensional knowledge. What humanity needs at this stage of its evolution is the knowledge of how to live as soul within the worlds of time and space. This is precisely what liminal cosmogony is designed to provide. Liminal cosmogony is divided into 7 sections. The excerpt provided in this offering is from the section entitled, Teachers of Light. Its knowledge is condensed into a mere 120 pages, focused on the techniques and behaviors of the sustainable spiritual perspective of a teacher of light embodied in a human instrument. It is designed to create empowerment in the student who studies it and applies its techniques and nuanced behavioral expressions. It is not for sale, nor is it freely distributed. It is given out in prescribed measures over time, and this offering, the Rising Heart, is the first. I have released the mythology of Wingmakers as an initial stage of preparation for these higher dimensional works contained in liminal cosmogony. I have also provided the Lyricus website as the initial introduction to the voice of Lyricus teachers and our instructional approach. More recently, I offered the event temples, which will evolve into a foundation for quantum communities that will ultimately empower the teachers of light to orchestrate energetic transfers to the planet and its inhabitants, physical and non-physical alike. These are among the efforts of thousands of others who are also bringing the tools, techniques, and technologies to empower individuals, and this offering is not meant to displace any of these, but rather to augment and support. The teachers of light are without affiliation to anything other than the higher light of the fifth dimensional field of unity. They are not beholden to any one system of belief, as they are collectively the system of knowledge in which they are rooted. The release of the more esoteric knowledge in liminal cosmogony signals a shift in the Lyricus teaching order to bring forward its technologies of inner light development for those who incarnate it to be teachers of light upon earth. The Rising Heart will resonate with those who are prepared, who are already in the process of shifting their core consciousness to their heart's crown and operating with internal coherence. My suggestion to each of you is to read and reread this paper several times before you make any judgment as to its usefulness or application in your spiritual life. Then, use your intuition to guide your interpretation of the technique. The techniques of Lyricus are never spelled out in burnished detail. Its teachers prefer to provide paradigms, concepts, and frameworks, leaving the precise implementation or blueprint to the individual. It is the singular initiation. The light body is awakening in literally millions of people on Earth. As this blossoming of light occurs on the planet, there is an intuitive wisdom required to direct or channel this light or field of higher frequency energy. A higher ratio of light is not what is required, but rather a higher intelligence of light and love being applied to the right issues or problems that humanity faces. The light body reveals one's inner light and wisdom. It is the vehicle of creativity that telepathically listens to the family of light and expresses its unique signature of insight in response to the family of light, adding dimension and nuance that deepens our interconnection and collective wisdom. The Rising Heart is a technique to help children of light to transition into teachers of light through their presence and behaviors, not because they can cite the esoteric nature of the human condition, articulate cosmological structures, or write the master keys of life. When you are drawn to this teaching, you will feel a familiar resonance with the energetic frequencies contained in the words, Rising Heart and Heart's Crown, as these are encoded words within your deepest being. The teachings of liminal cosmogony are encoded to integrate and align the harmonics of your light body with the time-space quanta of your human instrument. They weave the soul and mind-heart-body triad in temporal union, so you can transmit a new understanding of your purpose as a teacher of light. If you choose to embark on this journey, do so with a sober intent and humble outlook, for you are entering a scalable relationship with the divine being that is your light body, and calling for its highest purpose to be invoked upon this planet of 5 kingdoms. You are entering an accelerated path of change, as this is what higher light energy brings, accelerated change begetting intelligent behaviors befitting a teacher of light. This section of liminal cosmogony, known as Teachers of Light, constitutes a curriculum of the light body. It is an owner's manual for those who are embodied and desire to exercise their divine rights as a teacher of light, to share the mysterious gift of the higher light and intelligence of divine love to the planet and all upon her. Remember, the writing is not so much contained in the words, but the feeling you receive from them as you contemplate their deeper meanings. May the initiatory coding of this paper awaken you to the next level of your journey. From My World to Yours. James. Excerpt from Liminal Cosmogony, Teachers of Light. The Rising Heart. The light body is a particle of the divine mind, cast from the central sun into, and through the fourth and fifth dimensional matrices in order to embody within a human being the essence of the central Sunday. The light body's materialization begins from the seventh dimension, cascading into materiality, where it settles into the first manifested being, the human heart. Within the human instrument, it is the heart that is originally the nucleus home of the light body, but eventually the light body's locus drifts upward to the pineal gland at the base of the brain, usually in the first 7 years of life. Here it typically remains until the physical body expires, at which time it recirculates within the higher light realms of the fifth dimension wherein unity and the connective field of pure love radiates unimpeded by matter. This is the ground of soul where all beings flow in the vibrant river of sound and light. The light body is composed of the light of the central Sunday. Within each of the galaxies is a central sun that acts as the transmitter of the divine mind within the galactic multiverse. The central sun is the transdimensional portal within each galaxy that interconnects all galaxies and dimensions of life therein to the pulsing heartbeat of the grand central sun from whence the primacy of sound and light arise. It is the integrative nexus between the physical and spiritual planes, and thus, the central sun is the quantum sum of all suns within the galaxy, and this quantum light lives within the human instrument as its light body. In a very real sense, we are all born from this sound and light of the grand central sun, and it is to this pulsing, rhythmic heartbeat that we are all entrained to varying degrees. It is this entrainment that re-establishes our alignment to the grand expansion, and restores our access to the higher intelligence where we become the willing impulse of divine will. The light body is the seer of reality within the individual identity. It is the wholeness navigator that detects the frequencies of fifth-dimensional essence in the lower dimensions of matter, time, and space. It is the bearer of alignment to the plan of the One Creator. It is the portal of guidance within the One who is separated from unity by the veils of illusion. It is the voice within the void that calls to your mind and heart, beckoning its recognition and restoration as your true identity, and that of all others as well. It is the connection between the heart and mind that allows for true creation to occur. It is the telepathic portal that hears and sees the divine intelligence, and then activates its expression within the lower realms by mere presence. The light body is the core of consciousness, and this interior core is shifting. In your world it is shifting back to your heart, but its nucleus home is now between the heart and throat, known as the thymus, or the heart's crown. We will speak of it as the rising heart. The rising heart is located on two axes or fields of vibration. The first is the horizontal axis, which is the field of planets. The second is the vertical axis, which is the field of central Sunday. On the planetary axis, there is the material being or human instrument, composed of the sheaths that protect and sustain the light body, the physical, emotional, and mental sheaths of the third and fourth dimensional matrix. This axis represents the planet meeting your light body. It is the axis of grounding and anchoring the light body to the planet and the physical beings upon her. On the central sun axis there are the descending and ascending streams of energy that connect your light body to its source, the central Sunday. It is from this connection that the grand awakening of physical beings occurs, and the divine current is felt tugging on your human instrument, calling it to activation and awakening its will to become a vehicle for the light body. The light body is the zygote of consciousness formed by the union of divine light and sound. It is born radiant, pure, intelligent, and life-sustaining. The light body listens to both your thoughtscape and feelingscape, adjusting its radiance in accordance to its perceptions. Thus, the light body reacts to the lower dimensional matrix, and in this way is influenced by the individual's level of coherence, intelligent expression, creative insight, and higher mind intuition. As the core of consciousness shifts to the new axis of the rising heart, the internal coherence of the individual becomes the amplifier of the light body's radiance in the world of form. This internal coherence is heightened when the thoughtscape and feelingscape of the individual are aligned and flowing in the river of divine will. It is then that the light body can truly step forward and radiate its purpose on the planetary level. The radiant and intelligent expression of the light body and mass is the true meaning of life in the planetary axis, because it is the action of collective intelligence that enables the planned and unplanned evolutionary paths to converge and empower the planetary shifts that enable dimensional ascension for all who are prepared. This increase in the expression of light and love within the planetary sphere opens the grand portal, which is the gateway for the planet to access the fifth dimensional matrix of pure, connective energy, which is, in essence, divine love intelligence. As the children of light begin to activate their light bodies, while living within a human instrument, they will sense the presence of their electromagnetic field as it becomes enmeshed with their every breath. The breath washes over the rising heart in both the in-breath and out-breath. When breathing in, the energy symbolically descends from the central sun and flows through the crown chakra, settling at the solar plexus just below the heart. There, it sparkles in the golden light of your signature tone. When breathing out, the energy is released from the solar plexus up to the planetary axis at the height of the thymus, or rising heart, and then radiates outward with dominance to the horizontal plane. In this time of the grand awakening, the light body is becoming centered at the rising heart, because the mind, where it has been centered for thousands of years, is enmeshed in static and distortions that confound the light body's ability to fully radiate its energetic field upon the planetary grid and fulfill its purpose. The intersection of the two axes, planetary and central sun, is the activation point of the individual. The integration of breath and imagination is the most efficient method through which this activation can occur and be sustained within the human instrument. The breath of the rising heart is the practice of breathing from the central sun and expressing this breath energy into the planetary grid. It is the method of activation taught on all planets for those aligned to the plan of expansion into the lands unknown. When you read these words, you will understand intuitively, for you know well the mysterious purpose that stirs you awake and compels you to action. The breath of soul is directed by the light body, whose seat of intelligence resides at the point of the rising heart. You can imagine this as a portal within the body that receives the electromagnetic field of light from the central sun through the in-breath and directs it to the solar plexus, and on the out-breath, channels it across the planetary axis as a way of grounding the energy within the field of third-dimensional beings. It is this grounding of the energy, directed by the light body, infused with the internal coherence of the human instrument, that enables the human emotional field to build the collective heart and connected mind that enables the planet to step through higher dimensional barriers with relative ease and grace. This is a time of action, and the action is to activate your light body to its purposeful role within your human instrument, and to share its higher light frequencies to the human emotional field. This activity regrids the collective heart and connective mind to the emerging culture of the one, unified planet moving in the upward spiral of the seven-dimensional hypersphere, in which all beings within its quantum and space-time presence are unified with the planet, and the planet with the central Sunday. In this future time, beings will be galactic citizens, and they will commune with other intergalactic citizens, and see the universe as they now see the planet. Each of you who embody the light of the central sun, and not only carry it with you, but purposefully radiate it through your actions of intelligent love and the virtuous heart, you are builders of this future time, and your actions will be acknowledged with its direct experience. The breath through the rising heart is an activator of your light body. Internal coherence within your human instrument is the sustaining and evolving force of this activation, independent of the travails that befall you or the human family. You can generate this internal coherence through the practice of breathing through the rising heart and expressing the radiant beauty of the higher light through the virtues of the heart, the intelligence of the higher mind, and the ascendant beauty of the spirit we all share. When the breath of soul radiates outward on the planetary axis of the individual, it takes on the signature field of that individual. This signature is like a carrier wave to the original signal from the central sun, and it is this carrier wave that is the key factor that enables the rays of the central sun to cut through the static and distortions of the planet's electromagnetic fields. There are many competing currents and conflicts within the planetary realm before its entrance into the higher dimensions of the etheric plane. These currents pull you, push you, and deliver you to shores of indeterminacy and questionable value. There are light bodies cast in human instruments that are so darkened that they are like black holes in space, swallowing light in the gravity of their misguided ignorance. The light body is, in some ways, a fragile consciousness. It listens well and responds to what it hears. It sees the higher realities, but it also dives deep into the lowest realms, seeking out the unique separation veils that empower its discernment, which ultimately reinstate its power as a sovereign integral of the highest order. The life of the light body is complex, more complex than you can imagine, and yet you can appreciate its goals and the journey it weaves to achieve them, because your intuition and imagination enable you to feel the edges of its reality. Those who are the builders of the grand expansion are embodied in human instruments, and they are awakening to their light bodies, as their light bodies begin to activate to the new rays of light and love that are flowing from the central Sunday. We refer to these individuals as builders because they are the architects and engineers who are building the new culture, monetary system, technology, and mind-body-spirit systems that will endure as the planet transforms itself to the new energetic grid of the higher fourth dimension. Within the builders are the planetary teachers, and these are the ones who are now blossoming as the new rays embolden their light bodies to harmonize, resonate, and co-create with one another. There are saviors and messiahs that enter the planetary grid in its third-dimensional and lower fourth-dimensional state to periodically realign the spiritual teachings of humanity to their ancient source. However, now is the time when the teachers of light are operating as a collective power, joining together to weave a new fabric of time, space and energy, one that is ultimately the portal to the fifth dimension. The planetary teachers are generally embodied, while the central sun teachers are mostly operating in their light bodies on higher dimensions, and in some cases, other galaxies. The planetary teachers of light require activation, internal coherence, a balanced inflow and outflow of love and light through a virtuous and heart-filled behavioral system, and the quiet of reconnection time to rejuvenate and rebalance their human instrument. The Rising Heart Technique is a system to achieve each of these requirements. It is not the only way, it is a proven way. It is a framework that can be adapted and modified to suit an individual's preferences of imagination and intuition. The teachers of light are quantum beings of great power. Though they were human instruments of density and distortion, they never lose sight of their rightful purpose and the ultimate ascendancy of their family of light. The human instrument is a fabric of frustration for the teachers of light, as they know well what they are, but like a ballet dancer wearing a spacesuit, they are not able to express the fullness of their higher wisdom in the material worlds. This frustration is coupled to the third dimension construct that teachers must teach through words, spoken or written, and yet we tell you that it is through your behavioral system, the expression of your virtuous heart, and the application of techniques like the Rising Heart that define you as a teacher of light. The writings of the planetary teachers are telepathically transmitted by the central sun teachers, who in turn translate the energetics of the central sun and step down these higher energies into the vocabulary of the human family. This is the system of dispensation that prevails on all planets until the species achieves fifth-dimensional equilibrium, at which time the communication from the central sun is direct and immediate. The central sun, in essence, is opening the channels of telepathic communication to the teachers of light, so they are able to transmit the vibratory energies to the general masses entrenched in the energetic quagmire of the previous and current dimensions. As planets ascend interdimensionally, they require a higher connection to the central sun to draw them from their present dimensional grid into the next level, and this is precisely what the central sun teachers instruct the planetary teachers to do, to facilitate this higher connection through various techniques that activate the light body of the teachers of light, so they may collectively create this higher connection. If you will inhale the light of the central sun, and take it into your soul's workshop, adding your fingerprint of love for your brothers and sisters, and then release this higher light to them and your planet, you are creating this higher connection in this simple act. Not only for yourself, but for all. All of the human family benefits, for we all rise on the same currents of divine love and the higher intelligence that pervades it. The teachers of light have the opportunity to re-energize their association of the breath and heartbeat and feel their rhythmic energy as the connection to life and the higher, universal intelligence that flows from the grand central Sunday. In doing this, you bring yourself into alignment to the grand awakening, as the higher truths are being downloaded to your world. Your human family, living between the forces of light and dark, will awaken to the multidimensional world and leave the fields of illusion behind, never to return.
All right. So this is going to be part 1. That was pretty much just the forward, the introduction to the first technique. And like I said, it's a technique. These are techniques for the specific teachers. Remember, in the beginning, I told you guys that I am a teacher, and I'm looking for the other teachers. And so we have a timeline that we actually follow. And when everything falls in divine timing, divine order, and is introduced when the frequency is right, when the consciousness is right, when we've come to a certain level. So some of these, as you recall, some of you guys remember me saying that we were actually given those quantum scalar frequencies as a way to accelerate this process, to get us up to par to where our bodies needed to be, so that these frequencies can be drawn in from the cosmos into this dimension, into this realm, through our vessels. So this is why we did a lot of that ascension for ascension work. It was not just for you as an individual, you individually only. This was also for the planet, and it was for humanity, because we are the ones who bring the light in and we anchor the light. And it's like we hold the load until humanity has the opportunity to begin to awaken themselves and they can hold it for themselves. Okay, so that's kind of how we operate here in this realm. So again, the information is parceled out just like anything else. You won't get it before it's time. There are some things that me as a teacher will present to you, and just like I said before, even if it does not resonate with you, that does not mean that it's not for you. It may mean that it's just not for you right then. But there, like this says, also there are activations, there's encodements that's in here, what we call trigger words, and you'll read it, and it may not speak to you at that moment, but later on you'll find yourself going back and remembering something that you read or something that you heard mentioned here, and then something else will come in to co-sign or confirm that what you heard. And that's kind of how it works. So I'm going to wrap this up right here, and then I think I know I got this thing somewhere. I got it years ago, but I'm going to dig it up and we'll start going bit by bit. I'll start presenting it and putting it out there. This is some of the stuff that has to be put in the academy as well, you know, and it's the information that's dripped, you know, a little bit at a time. And I know that people sometimes want to rush ahead, but like I said, you won't get it before it's time for you to receive it. You won't even be able to interpret it. You won't be able to understand it like I did with the Kabbalion. I'm running ahead. I was like, ooh, I want to read the Kabbalion because I feel like I'm ready. Shoot, I started reading that stuff and it went over my head. It might as well have been Greek. But later on down the line, when it was time for me to learn about the wisdom in the Kabbalion, what I was shown was what I actually was taken through different things, step by step, and different experiences. And I didn't even know it until after I went through all these experiences for that previous year. Then I was brought back to the Kabbalion, and I picked it up and I started looking at it. And this time when I started looking at it, the words looked completely different. The words hit completely different. And all of a sudden, I was understanding the Kabbalion. And it was blowing my mind because I was like, just last year I had no idea what any of this said. But you know why I understood it and understood it? Because my spirits, my guides, had actually begun to take me through experiences, first-hand experiences of what was written in the pages. So then I could actually interpret it, and if somebody needed me to break it down and explain it to them, I could break it down and explain it because I had first-hand knowledge and wisdom. And what people fail to understand is the difference between information and wisdom, because everybody on Facebook is passing information. You hear the same things regurgitated, and you hear people who you think are these spiritual gurus, and really what they are just really, really super good at regurgitating and mimicking other people, picking up their information and then coming and, you know, remixing it and putting the same information out there, but it's not true wisdom. Now, what is the difference between information and wisdom? The difference between information and wisdom is information is just information sourced from a particular uh, place and passed on. Information, passing information. Google is information. Wisdom is information plus experience. Information plus experience. And when you couple those together, that's how you get wisdom. So there's a lot of people who just pass off information, but they don't have firsthand experience. They can't break it down. If you can't break it down to a 5-year-old, then that's not wisdom. Then you don't have a complete understanding and understanding of what it is that you're saying. You're just passing on information. You can't actually teach it. And that's what I used to say. There's a difference between people who are out there just passing along information for kudos and likes versus the ones who are literally here to actually teach wisdom. Those are the teachers of light. That's what I am. I am a teacher of light. I am here to teach the wisdom. I'm here to teach you, to give you the information, give you this sacred wisdom, and then you incorporate that into your life, and then you will begin to have these experiences, and you can go on and teach it yourself. But instead, we have people who do the opposite. They just want to grab the information, and pass it out, pass it out. That's not wisdom. There's a difference, and those people have to be sifted out. And that's just the way it is. Those people have to be sifted out because the teachers of light are here for a reason. If everybody was just meant to share this information without having that frequency of truth in there, without having that divine frequency attached to it, then the wisdom could have just been out there for everybody to pass it around. But you see how easily it gets corrupted. The information in itself is protected. That's why it's encoded the way it is. That's why it's not just given to everybody. That's why in these words you hear that these higher divine teachers actually said there is a way that we do things. We do things in divine order. We encode and we encrypt these messages so that just anybody can't take it and spread information, because that's how it gets distorted. Even in your best, your best attempt to you just want to share because you just want to share it. And I told y'all that before. Be very careful of doing that. That's why it's preserved for the right time, to where your conscious level rises, to where you understand and you understand the proper way to deliver these messages and who it's meant for. And over time, eventually everybody will get it, but they have to receive it when they are ready. Otherwise, just like the scripture said, if you throw your pearls to swine, the swine will trample them and throw them back at you. They'll throw them back in your face. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to wrap this up right here, and then we're going to start with, as I'm giving the thumbs up and the go ahead, I will start placing this information in the Patreon. Okay, so that was Teachers of Light and the Rising Heart Technique. That's number 1.